Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take on the brand new Virtual Dokkan Ultimate Clash, and we're going to see just how hard Omega Shenron is this time. Now, as usual, he receives reduced damage, he grants immunity to being stunned, he cannot be sealed, he disables attack and defense reduction, and he will lock your characters in place. He will also massively lower your defense on his super attack, so we need to be very careful of him. We're going to start with the extreme strength side, just to do some chip damage to him. Realistically, my extreme strength side's definitely not in the situation to do massive damage to him, but I'm hoping we can maybe get 1 or 2 bars off of him before we take it on with the real team. In terms of taking on the Ultimate Clash, as I always suggest, mono-type teams are going to be your best bet. They're going to be the ones that are going to be easiest for you because they're not going to, they can take type disadvantage damage the whole way through, which it does help quite a bit. That's always how I've taken on Ultimate Clash. I know some people prefer to use category teams, some people prefer to use other kinds of teams, but for me this is just generally speaking the best way to take things on. I don't necessarily find the other ways to be too appealing, and this is also the easiest way for me to incorporate some kind of free-to-play elements and heroes in the teams. We've got a pretty nice setup here because Frieza is going to be able to cause some nice damage, and that's pretty much going to be it from this team. Omega Shenron hits very, very hard. A lot of people still don't like the fact that he can lock you in the slot and then cause you an immense amount of damage. It does feel like quite a lot of gimmicks. The ability to lock someone into a slot, the ability to massively lower their defense, which obviously prevents you from kind of tanking things as best as you can, but also Omega Shenron is just at a very high level. There's some situations where it doesn't really matter what his gimmicks or his abilities do, because you are just going to take damage. In this situation here, that's a perfect example. He's going to super before Android 21, so that's pretty much it. We're not going to be able to get any more damage out. We have no evasion or anything on Android 21, so it's going to be very unlikely for her to survive this attack. If she did, we might have had a chance, but she's going to take this super attack, which is going to cause a lot of damage, and then it's going to massively lower her defense, which basically knocks us out. So the extreme team kind of did what I wanted it to do. It did some chip damage, which is pretty much what I sent it in there for. Now we're going to move to my best option, which is my super strength team. Now we're going to use the SS4 Vegeta because he's 120% strength type lead, and we're going to use the 130% SS4 Goku. We're also going to use the LRB Pan because of her healing ability, the SS3 Vegeta because of his very impressive tanking ability, and we're going to use the Siblings Bond, Tapion and Minotia, and then we're going to wrap things up with the Majin Buu Saga lead LR Vegeta, and we're going to use Android 18. Now, it's very, very, very important to note that when you are facing Omega Shenron, a very, very helpful gimmick is either evasion or damage reduction. I personally prefer damage reduction just because getting hit by the super attack will lower your defense, but you can then leave those units in place because it doesn't really matter as long as they have damage reduction. The reduction in the defense for those turns is not going to cause them too big a problem as long as you have that damage reduction. Now, of course, evasion is very good because it can evade him completely. However, if your evasion fails, you're not really going to be having the best time overall. Now, in these type of situations, it's very important to understand what your units bring to the table. So we're going to be using this Majin Buu Saga, Vegeta and Goku because they have the ability to raise their defense on their super attacks, and they have a 30% damage reduction. This means that they're going to be able to tank pretty well after their super attacks. We want them to take super attacks as well. We also want to take note that they do have a heal, so at a certain point we are going to be able to heal up with them if we are in a very, very tense situation, which is why we want to keep them on rotation as much as possible. The Tapion and Minotia will just be fine. They're just an incredibly tanky and very well designed unit that are relatively new and can just do a lot of work. The SS4 Goku we need to get supers on, which is one of the flaws here, but you need to really understand your team overall. SS3 Vegeta luckily got locked into the last place, and Pan got locked into the final place, but fortunately both of them are in where we need them to be. SS3 Vegeta will tank perfectly fine the whole way through with his 90% damage reduction, and the Android 18 is another unit that you want to get super attacks on because she can maintain her stacks for up to 6 turns. So we need her to get super attacks because that's really going to allow her to maintain her defensive stacks. You can see here we get unlucky in taking a super on her, but it's not the end of the world because B-Pan is going to be a great source of healing. Remember, B-Pan heals up 30% of all damage that she does, so that 847,000 gave us back roughly 260k or so health, which is pretty damn good. Obviously why we're sitting at a very high threshold. We're going to stick the SS4 Vegeta in the first slot. The reason being is we want the Goku and Vegeta unit to get their super attacks off, as they need to get their defense higher. Vegeta also has the ability to counter supers, which means we're not sitting in too bad a situation with Vegeta. He can have a decent shot, 30% chance of countering a super from Omega, so he's not as defensively weak as you might expect. Now that he's survived his damage though, we do have a pretty good situation. These guys are going to tank really well after their double supers, and it means that they're going to be handling things relatively well overall. So looks pretty good from my side. Really happy with how the whole team came together. Obviously B-Pan's healing is incredibly powerful and incredibly helpful. She pretty much saved us. We were at like 100k in health and she basically turned us to full. So B-Pan is a must, and she's a free-to-play unit, which makes her fantastic. Here we're going to stick SS4 Goku in the first slot. The reason being is he's not going to be able to get a super attack either way in the first or second slot, and so rather have him take one attack on the off chance that it's not a super attack, because he will take the most damage. He will take 30k or so, which is obviously not great. But now we have SS3 Vegeta in the second slot to soak up as much of the damage as possible. And then we also have Android 18, who, as we've seen before, does take 134k on a super attack, but she should be more than fine. This additional super also helps her out by stacking her defense again, and she won't take any damage whatsoever. So pretty good from us. And now we're perfectly set up. We have everything good. B-Pan's here, so we're not at risk of dying and we can heal up. But we also have the active skill of SS4 Vegeta. We're going to activate B-Pan's skill because her attack increase will also actually affect Vegeta's active skill. And then we're going to fire his active skill, and we're going to use that to finish off the Omega Shenron. And that's it, really. Pretty good, actually. Really nice. Super team ran great. Obviously the extreme team, didn't really run too well, but it did manage to get some chip damage in, which did ultimately make the super team's job a bit easier. So not got too many complaints overall. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through every single boss in the Ultimate Clash, and we are going to see how you can beat them, or how I beat them at least. So Invisible Man, nothing too crazy. He evades a lot of attacks, but just remember to use one unit, and all you have to do is hit him with a single attack and he will go down. Then Akka, also again nothing spectacular, immune to stunning, but you should be able to take him out with a pretty straightforward all-tech team. So don't panic too much about that. It shouldn't be too hard, should be relatively easy. Thouser can fire 2 supers in a turn. He's immune to stunning, sealing, and attack lowering. However, again, him and the Supreme Kai are not really that difficult as units, and they don't hit that hard. But you can bring some form of healing if you want to try and keep yourself topped up against the multiple supers if you really need to. In terms of the Supreme Kai, he is immune to stunning, immune to sealing as well. He can also evade super attacks, and he also will seal your super attacks randomly. So it is a good bet to try and bring additional attacks against him. Usually I find that helps with evasive units or units that are going to seal your attacks. At least you're going to be able to get extra attacks in, and you should be able to make short work of him without any issues. The next one is the biggest step up, and is probably the second hardest boss overall, and it's Trunks. He's immune to stunning, immune to sealing, immune to attack lowering, immune to defense lowering. He will lock you in place, and he will massively raise his attack on his super attack. I took him on with the idea of using an extreme physical team, And I used a team that overall would be able to get the job done without a lot of key. Units like Cooler in his final form gets a lot of additional attacks, Majin Buu, the Buu and Babidi. A lot of all of these units are able to attack without a lot of key, and you also have some healing from the LR cell. Your best bet here is to bring heals and to try and get attacks off, because you want to try and have someone tanky, but you also just need to kind of burst through Trunks. He is a little bit glass cannon. The next is obviously Vegeta or Super Vegeta. He's immune to stunning, and he also has attack lowering and defense lowering immunity. He can fire 2 super attacks in a turn, and he hits very hard. Your best bet here is to seal him. I did not do that, and that is why I lost, although I did a huge amount of damage because Super AGL is just a very strong team. So bring a seal. The LR Goku and Raleigh free-to-play units, a very good unit for this, and they'll really help you by helping to seal up Vegeta. The next one is Second Form Cell. He is immune to sealing, but he also heals a large amount of health every turn. You're going to want to stun him, which is why I brought the Gotenks and Ghost. I brought the Blue Vegeta, and I also brought the Transforming Gotenks. That's 3 stuns in the team. You want to keep 1 on each rotation. Make sure that you get him stunned. Stunning him up is going to prevent him from attacking, prevent him from healing. It's going to make your life a lot easier. He can be lowered with attack and defense as well. Goku is immune to stunning, and he can evade attacks. He also can fire multiple super attacks. With Goku, the best bet is to go with a seal on each rotation, like Master Roshi and Tien, and the Super Saiyan God Goku. I had each of them on a rotation, and I used them to seal him up. I also have the Tech Caulifla, who evades all Pure Saiyan attacks, which became a very good tank to allow me to set up my rotations. Then in terms of the Piccolo, he can be sealed. Make sure that you bring sealers. I made sure to bring sealers in the LR Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 and the Master Roshi. Both of those are going to keep him sealed up. I paired Master Roshi with Krillin, and of course I also had LR Great Saiyaman with the Gohan LR. Piccolo is immune to attack and defense lowering, and he will also heal a lot. You're going to need to crit, which is why you're going to also want to bring some high damage dealers alongside your sealing so that you can outpace his heal. Make sure that you seal him up because he can do a lot of damage, and he will also lower your defense with his super attack. The remaining boss is Omega Shenron, and you obviously saw him. So that's pretty much it. I hope this really helped you guys out with Ultimate Clash. I hope it helps point you in the right direction, and I hope you can get the rewards. It's a great set of rewards. Remember, 32 stones every single time, and you can see them all the way back up to a full multi. But thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on the video or leave a comment, and I'll try and reply back. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and bye.